And so begins Pac-Man. We begin our 40th anniversary celebration. Yay! So, Pac-Man was Puck-Man in Tokyo, and the sort of unofficial release, but by the programmers, by the man in charge, who can't remember the name, but his fictional counterpart was in the movie Pixels with Adam Sandler and uh, that guy from The King of Queens. You remember that? So this is the Pac-Man collection, but we're only going to look at Pac-Man. So we have two different versions of Pac-Man here. We have full screen and scroll, so we'll do full screen first. Kevin James. So you had Kevin James and Adam Sandler in Pixels. So you had the creator of Pac-Man, not the actual guy, but an actor, and so he got eaten up by the giant Pac-Man. Originally, this was called Puck-Man, but they didn't want it to be called Fuck-Man by like vandals, so they changed it to Pac-Man. So I'll be showing you this video game version, and then I will be showing you the board game. So, oh shit, this is a tricky one. Now, I've never played the 256 level. That's the one where it's all kind of fucked up on one side. Obviously, this is so obvious. Get all the dots, get the fruits, get the power pellets, eat all the ghosts. The ghosts turn into eyes. The eyes go to the little box. They go to home base. Oh shit. I was trying to get the cherry, got fucked up. It's not as easy as it looks, especially when you're playing on a Game Boy Advance. This is the full screen, so it's very small. I mean, the actual size of the screen is about less than 2 inches. Or just a few centimeters. In some ways, the board game is easier. The one made by Buffalo Games. Shout out to Buffalo. Yeah, but this game was created in the early part of 1980 and then was released in Japan May 22nd. But the actual commercial release was not until July of 1980. So I think it came out in July in America, I think. But in May 22nd, which actually that was yesterday in Japan. I got the cherry. Oh, Jesus. It's a lot of fast thinking here. You got to think fast, you got to act fast. Some dust in this. Then we'll do the scrolling screen. We're only going to play Pac-Man. I'm not going to play the other ones. When it's their anniversary, I'll do that one. Oh, Jesus. I have different versions. I have the plug-and-play version with Pac-and-Pal, Super Pac-Man, and Pac-Man Plus. Pac-Man Plus, so I can recall off the top of my head all the Pac-Man games for the first 20 or 30 years. So you have Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, which is a sort of a bootleg hack. Then you have Pac-Man Plus. Then Super Pac-Man, which was the official sequel. Then Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man, which was a pinball table. Then Baby Pac-Man, which was a hybrid pinball and video game. Then Professor. Then Junior. Then Pac-and-Pal. Then Pac-Land. Pac-Mania, which was a 3D jumping game. And then there was Pac-Attack, the puzzle game. Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures, which was a weird sequel to something that didn't exist. It was like a mouse click, control your character with the mouse button kind of thing. Then there was Pac-in-Time. I have that one on the Super Nintendo. Then there was Pac-Man VR. There was going to be a Pac-Man Exertainment, exercise bike peripheral for the Super Nintendo. That never came out. But then there came the Pac-Man VR using virtuality. And then the Pac-Man World. It was going to be the plot to the first PlayStation game was going to be that you were a kid at the arcade and you got sucked into the arcade becoming Pac-Man. I think it was Pac-Man and the Ghostly Maze. Then there was Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness for the PlayStation and Dreamcast and N64. And then there was... Getting better at this now. Got him. What other ones were there? There was Pac-Man Fever, which is like a Mario Party game. Pac-Man World 2, Pac-Man World 3, Pac-Man Versus that Shigeru Miyamoto made, where you're either the Ghost or Pac-Man. Mario, Charles Martinet, had a cameo. He would say, "Ready? Go." There's the strawberry. Will I get that strawberry? Is that going to happen? 300 points. Yeah, the board game I got, I think I got last year, that I reviewed on Instagram. It's very similar to this. Get the high score. I mean, Pac-Man's been on so many things. My first memories of Pac-Man were an electronic game that was not an official electronic game. But my sister had it. It's the one that the original Magnum PI had, Tom Selleck. He played with it in one of the episodes. You have to look that up. Look up Tom Selleck Pac-Man. You might find it. Some clip on YouTube somewhere. And there was Pac-Man Fever, the original, like the Pac-Man cereal, the marshmallow cereal. But also there was the cartoon. Let's see. Let's do scroll. So this is the scrolling version. This is like, you know, try to be like the arcade, but you can't see the whole maze, so it moves along with you. So we'll try a couple of these. Yeah, so I remember the Saturday morning ABC, there was Supercade on CBS with Donkey Kong and Frogger. And then there was Pac-Man for ABC, Saturday mornings. You had Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, the Fonz, Saturday morning cartoons. And you also had Rubik's Cube, which was owned by a Latino family. And they had the Rubik's Cube. And then you had Pac-Man. And then you had Monchichis, were these little monkey characters in trees. And then you had Little Rascals cartoon. I remember all these, Richie Rich, Scooby-Doo. This was when I was like learning how to read, okay? So the 80s was a very, very different time. There was a Pac-Man Fever song back in 1982. 1982, which was like Pac-Man's second year, was like the peak of Pac-Man going. I mean, people were just collecting. He was like the real first, you know, recognizable character before Mario. Because I know some people like Vinesauce and others, they say about Mario's birthday being in 85, but that's Super Mario birthday. Mario's real birthday is in 81 with Donkey Kong. So before Mario was born, you had Pac-Man. You had the Pac-Man 256, which came out a couple of years ago. That has not come out on the Switch. I'm surprised it has not. I mean, that could be on the Switch. Why not? It can't be that powerful. Yeah, I heard the first two Pac-Man World games were good, but the Pac-Man World 3 was shit. And then there was the Ghostly Adventures, the one in the early 2010s. So that's Pac-Man, the video game, the classic game. Cheers, Pac-Man. So stay tuned. I'll probably make a little playlist just for these two videos, but stay tuned for the board game. And any of your best Pac-Man moments, you know, put it down in the comments section below. And, yeah, waka waka waka.